With global halal ethical economy opportunities estimated at trillions of dollars, what major data gap still prevents many investors from assessing the full potential, and how should be the industry address it?
Sure. We have a lot of the OIC member countries, which are the significant part of the Islamic economy, as you know, the 57 mostly Muslim majority countries. The data transparency is a big issue. We don't have a lot of our businesses are not listed entities. Hence, they don't disclose the data because they're not in the public markets. A significant portion are privately owned or government-owned, government-linked, or micro SMEs and SMEs. And getting their data is very difficult. So, compared to many of the developed economies where a significant part of the economy is on the public markets, they're listed, and hence they have to do all the data reporting. So for investors, especially having a good visibility into quality of disclosures, and not just data that's self-reported, but data that is compliant to the regulatory requirements, which usually publicly listed companies are subject to. So this is the challenge we have in order for more financial flows to happen across border, in particular, especially as we're looking at Islamic financing. So getting the business data to be verified and available digitally is a very important area to address.
DinarStandard has been producing foresight-driven research on the halal economy. From your experience, which region outside the majority Muslim world shows the most underrated potential for halal value chain expansion, and why?
Sure. So it's a great question, and I think it's sometimes not emphasized enough, because a significant part of the 2+ billion Muslim population globally lives outside of the Muslim majority countries. So roughly over 30% is attributed to be living outside of the Muslim majority countries, starting from India, which is not part of OIC, but is probably the largest Muslim population outside of OIC member countries, China, West, you're in Europe, where we are in London, but all of Europe, the Americas, even South America. I was just in South Africa. If you come to sub-Saharan Africa, outside of the OIC countries, South Africa is an incredibly impressive halal domestic market. Australia, New Zealand, and then Southeast Asia, Japan, Korea, and I don't know if I mentioned China, but China has a significant domestic halal market. So that's from the consumer side, domestic consumption side. But these markets are also enablers. They're part of the halal export value chain. Your question is, where amongst these, where are a gap, or where would be sort of the next emerging markets? I would say across every geography, like in Americas right now, where I'm based, in both United States and Canada, it's a very fast-growing domestic market. It's a very sophisticated, there's a need for Islamic financial products, halal product services, education, philanthropy is significant because of the high income level. In Africa, as I mentioned, South Africa is a very promising and growing segment, both for the South Africa as a region, but also in terms of their potential on enabling exports. And if we come out further to the east, communities such as in Thailand, where Thailand is one of the biggest halal exporters of halal products, and they're most significantly majority non-Muslim country, but they also have a thriving local Muslim community. And I believe at the forum, at the AlBaraka forum, you had invited the head of the Thai Muslim Trade Association. So these are just some hot spots that jump out, but I would say across the board, because a lot of the diaspora Muslim communities are fast growing. They're young. They're all in need of more products and services. They have different levels of challenges, but it's definitely an important area to focus. And I'm glad that the AlBaraka Forum continues to anchor one of its major events here in London.
Innovation is often cited as the next frontier for the Islamic economy. Which specific innovation for business model do you believe will most powerfully shift the Islamic economy from a niche market to a mainstream global economic force?
Your specific question of how will it help enable mainstreaming, right? I think it's less a point about technology. It's more about how to position our propositions. So if we brand and label our propositions to be Islamic and for Muslim only, obviously there's not going to go mainstream. So one important strategic from a model or from a marketing or positioning point of view is you can have the underlying business processes or financing requirement to be Islamic and the halal values in terms of, making sure that the food, let's say it's a restaurant. So as an example, a restaurant chain that can go mainstream, to your question, if it's called, Islamic foods something, of course it's not going to go mainstream. Halal food or is a more, today, mashallah, halal is becoming a global brand, much like kosher in the United States, even though the Jewish community there is maybe 2% of the population, but 40% plus of the products in the supermarkets are all kosher. So halal today is also like that, growing as a recognized mainstream brand. So I think the industry should really brand halal as something, as at the event today in the London Halal Forum was called Halal and Tayyib for humanity, right? So I think positioning halal to be something is not just religious for Muslims. It's about good treatment of animal. It's about healthy eating, which is a Tayyib part. And then people will see it as a mainstream brand. Or you can, have a general name or general branding positioning, but again, still be, unapologetically halal and Islamic. The world today respects authenticity from a brand. We cannot be shy about our identity. The next generation consumer, they appreciate authenticity and not trying to fake to be somebody else. If halal is about Islamic values, we should be confidently presenting it to the world because it's good for all, good for humanity. So I think less than technology, and technology can help facilitate it, but fundamentally, it's this strategic, positioning.
Governments around the world are launching national halal or ethical economy strategies. From what you have seen in your advisory work, what is the single most common strategic mistake they make, and how can they avoid it?
That's a very important question because most certainly there are a lot of, when we think about the last 20 years, Malaysia, which was a pioneer in terms of halal products and services aspect. Of course, Islamic finance has been there for a long time, but if we just look at the halal economy strategy, because that's what you were asked about, Malaysia really pioneered it. Then we saw Indonesia, UAE had a major initiative. Saudi Arabia has taken a lead as well now. Turkey is looking at it. So one of the things in our work, being involved in many, we've been involved in the strategy work for Saudi Arabia, now UAE, before Indonesia, and as well as to a certain extent Malaysia as well. Seeing the thing that we have seen that it should be avoided, and alhamdulillah has been avoided, for example, in the strategy that Saudi Arabia has, is to ensure its investment focus, because there are two aspects of the halal enablement. One is ensuring from a national strategy point of view. One is ensuring the integrity and quality of halal, right? that from a national priority, they want to make sure that the people can trust halal. It is not fraud. It is not fake. It is not, horse meat or pork being mixed or not really being halal. The people have trust the government. So the government has to make sure that part of the national halal strategy is that the compliance ecosystem is strong. The second part of why the governments are really looking at national halal strategies is actually more because of the second part, which is how can this halal area can help grow their economies.
Looking ahead to 2030, what transformation do you predict will define the next decade of the global halal economy? Will it be regulation, technology, consumer behavior, or something entirely different?
So, one is what we wish for, what we wish happens, and the other is what may happen given how things are going. We're always supposed to be, as Muslims, being hopeful, be, positive, and always see that, inshallah, things will always be better. I'm most definitely very optimistic, first of all. And because there is a very strong fundamental behind this, which is at the minimum, the population of the Muslim world is growing. We're, as a community, if we see any other faith-based community or any other such segmented population, it's the fastest growing. It's a young population. So the global Muslim population is on average younger than the rest of the world population. So it's a young population, is growing, meaning there's more demand for products and services. Second is that, with the geopolitical things happening, there's more of a identity amongst the young of their own Islamic roots. So they're more comfortable and they're more on average. Of course, it's not the same because, in different regions, it's a different level. But as a definitely a defining trend, we see more of the young people who are comfortable with Islamic identity. And when you are, then it translates to their consumer habits, how they buy food, how they travel, how they wear their clothes, how they eat, how they do financing, how do they pay for education, how do they, all of these spending things, which is essentially the Islamic economy in that sense. So I certainly, number one, see things growing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How do you position the first Halal London forum as it is the first time from Europe, and while it was convened twice in Mecca, the country of halal economy. So how do you envision the future of London Halal Forum?
I think it's great that the Islamic Chamber has made Mecca as the anchor event for the halal industry under their auspices, and also selected London because, as you started your questions about what about the non-Muslim majority countries, there's significant, two reasons. There's significant population of Muslims, but also these non-Muslim majority countries are part of the value chain. They're part of the halal ecosystem, and we don't want it just for Muslims. Halal is for humanity, so everybody can benefit from the supply chain, value chain, and even as customers, because it's about good values. So I think it's great that the Islamic Chamber has taken this effort and investment, and I heard Sheikh Yusuf call this the new journey, and I think it's great that they've taken this on. Alhamdulillah, I think it's great it's important to also recognize that the efforts that had been happening before in London and other Muslim minority countries, where these activities of a halal ecosystem and entrepreneurship are happening, and it would be great to sort of connect them more so that you can, the forum benefits from the existing energy and existing skills that exist, the existing successes that exist. But overall, important and a bold initiative that has to be commended. So congratulations.